to Krishna, and that's Vrindavan. Always chanting, always trying to spread the holy name, always hearing and talking about Krishna. This is something to be understood. And every temple where Krishna is being worshipped is also a holy place, depending on our consciousness. That's Vrindavan also, busy worshiping the deities and looking for the deities and teaching about Krishna. That's the holy Dham. So how far had we gone there? Let's see, I think I have a mark there. I think in the neophyte stage, right? In the neophyte stage, one should always engage in hearing Krishna Katha. This is called Shravana Das, stage of hearing. By constantly hearing the transcendental holy name of Krishna and hearing of his transcendental form, qualities, and pastimes, one can attain to the stage of acceptance called Varna Das, Varana Dasha. When one attains this stage, he becomes attached to hearing Krishna Katha. When one is able to chant in ecstasy, he attains the stage of Smarana Vasta, the stage of remembering, recollection, absorption, meditation, constant remembrance, and trance are 5 items of progressive Krishna Smarana. At first, remembrance of Krishna may be interrupted at intervals, but later remembrance proceeds uninterrupted. When remembrance is uninterrupted, it becomes concentrated and is called meditation. When meditation expands and becomes constant, it is called anusmriti. By uninterrupted and unceasing anusmriti, one enters the stage of samadhi, or spiritual trance. After smarana dasha, or samadhi, has fully developed, the soul comes to understand his original constitutional position. At that time, he can perfectly and clearly understand his eternal relationship with Krishna. That is called sampati dasha, or perfection of life. Wow. Who would like to explain that one? Who would like to say whatever they picked up out of it, even if you're looking at it again? What stands out in your mind? What do you either think I want to do that, or I'm not able to, or I am able to? Anything. Because it's a very deep.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yeah.
I think in essence, Prabhupada is just expanding the chapter 8, text number 6 of the Bhagavad Gita in practical terms, how to achieve it. As it is said that at the time of death, one would, whatever the state of consciousness one can remember. So how to remember Krishna at that time, practically, from the stage of Kanishta or neophyte devotee, up to the stage where one is able to remember Krishna at the time of death. I think that's what Prabhupada is trying to emphasize by practical application.
Yeah. So it just, hearing and chanting. Without hearing and chanting, even if we're doing other processes, they won't have so much good effect. The hearing and chanting always has to be there. So we gradually come here, it says to Varana Dasha. That means we become attached to hearing Krishna Katha. We love it. We want to do it more. Then we can start remembering. If we're always hearing, whatever you hear about, you're going to remember. So some people know all the politicians and every detail of their corruption. Some people know the sports scores. I don't know, African, I guess it's football, and they know the players, they know how many goals they make, they know this. But they don't know, if it comes to Krishna, they say, oh, I don't have a good memory. They're not interested. But everybody can remember things if they want to. So we want to pray to Krishna to change our direction, our attachment, that we're attached to remembering Krishna. And then there's recollection, absorption. Recollection, everybody knows that word, right?
Remembrance.
That's an easy one. Remembering, putting things back together, recollecting. You know, if you had a bunch of things and you left them here and there, and you go collect them back together again. So remembering. Then absorption, that's what we want. Absorption in the holy name. And that's not some cheap thing, but it's been analyzed, and I've seen devotees give seminars on it. Absorption. The process by which one thing absorbs. Being engrossed in something. Always thinking of it. Absorb means like a sponge. If you put the sponge in the water, it absorbs water and becomes completely full of water. It's practically water itself. So that's absorbing power. Meditation is a misunderstood word in this day and age. Who can tell me what meditation is?
Maharaj,
Yeah.
I think meditation is fully absorbed about Krishna and nothing else again. And without uninterrupted, without distraction.
Yeah. Something like that. Really means to think of the super soul in the heart. In the yoga ladder, the dhyana meditation, it's way up there. You know, but nowadays, oh, let's do some meditation. Just think about nothing. Think about how much your back hurts. And they call it meditation. I heard one Mayavadi say, keep your eyes open, but don't see anything. Now we're going to meditate. And the people, he asked them, okay, you have your eyes open and you can't see anything? They all said yes. Yes, Gurudev. Because they were paying him so much money for the seminar, they didn't want to say that, you know, it wasn't working. Okay. Then constant remembrance. And then trance. That's progressive remembering Krishna. Everything we want to be constantly progressing. Keep walking. Keep climbing. Keep chanting. Keep getting up and going to Mangalartik, you know. Just keep it up and the results will come. They're coming, but often it's imperceivable. So we wonder, what am I doing? You know, I'm not going anywhere. But we are going somewhere. Krishna is coming closer and closer. So at first we may get interrupted here and now, but gradually it's not interrupted. Then it's meditation. Then finally samadhi. That's a complete spiritual trance. Then we know who we really are. Besides knowing that I'm a spirit soul, we know for sure I'm a servant of Krishna, and even how you're going to serve Krishna. But meanwhile, now we just try to serve by chanting the holy name and following the instructions of Guru, Shastra, and Sadhu. Any other comments on all that? That's very deep stuff.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yes.
Yeah, it is said that commitment to quantity of any activity or any endeavor ultimately gives the impetus for developing the quality. But for one to be committed to something, there is need for conviction. So in respect to this, could we say that our non-attachment or absorption in chanting is as a result of lack of conviction?
Lack of what?
Conviction.
That would be a factor, yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, could you please repeat the question? I want to get it clear.
Okay.
Somebody else want to comment about conviction? Are you convinced? Do you really believe that Krishna is God and it should be the ultimate goal of life? And that simply by chanting the holy name and serving devotees, you will achieve Krishna? You keep that goal in mind, and you really believe that you're progressing towards that goal just by chanting and getting up and going to Artik and tolerating your God brothers and all that? Are you convinced?
Yes, Guru Maharaj, we are convinced.
Without doubt.
I am convinced. Let me say my own. I'm convinced, Maharaj.
I hope so. Then you please convince others. Right? If you're so convinced, convince others. Share it.
Yes, Maharaj.
It's like Lord Chaitanya when they were cleaning the Gundicha temple. Everybody would keep a pile what they swept up. So if someone had a really big pile, he would say, "You're doing really good. Oh, you've done so nicely." And then they'd be a little proud. Then he'd say, "So why aren't you teaching the others to do better? Why aren't you teaching them?" So if you're so convinced, please convince me and convince all the rest of us, because then our movement can expand like anything. Right. Who can read next? Chaitanya Charitamrita advises.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Okay, good. Thank you. Because your voice comes through so clear.
Okay.
You got a good internet connection or good microphone. I don't know what, or just a good voice. I don't know. Always.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Chaitanya Charitamrita advises those who are neophytes to give up all kinds of motivated desires and simply engage in the regulative devotional service of the Lord according to the directions of Scripture. In this way, a neophyte can gradually develop attachment for Krishna's name, fame, form, qualities, and so forth. When one has developed such attachment, he can spontaneously serve the lotus feet of Krishna, even without following the regulative principles. This stage is called Raga Bhakti, or devotional service in spontaneous love. At that stage, the devotee can
Keep going.
Hare Krishna, can I continue?
You get cut off.
When
Sorry.
one has, okay,
That's good.
go back.
At that stage, the devotee can follow in the footsteps of one of the eternal associates of Krishna in Vrindavan. This is called Raganuga Bhakti. Raganuga Bhakti, or spontaneous devotional service, can be executed in the Santaras when one aspires to be like Krishna's cows, or the stick or flute in the hand of Krishna, or the flowers around Krishna's neck. In the Dasyaras, one follows in the footsteps of servants like Chitraka, Pachak, or Raktak. In the friendly Sakyaras, one can become a friend like Baladev, Sridham, or Sudam. In the Vatsalya ras, characterized by parental affection, one can become like Nanda Maharaj.
And Yasoda.
My network seems to be fluctuating.
And Yashoda. Characterized by conjugal love, one friends such as Lalita and her 7 mates, Manjaris like Rupa and Rati. This is the essence of all instruction in the matter of devotional service. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay.
Hare Krishna. That's the end of text 8.
Sure. Okay, then this is getting, into the easily misunderstood stuff. We should give up all kinds of motivated desires. Now, everybody probably knows the famous verse in the first canto, first chapter 2, verse 6. At least you've heard it many times if you ever listen to class. Savoy parmo, savoy pumsam paro dharmo, ito
Yes.
bhakti hoksage, ahoy tu kyapatiyata, yayatma suprasidati. So that sublime occupation for mankind, Bhakti, adhoksage, under the transcendence. Ahoy tuki means causeless. There's no explanation for it. Apratihata, unbroken, uninterrupted. Ya, Atma, that the super soul can be superseded, totally satisfied. So translation, that supreme occupation, Dharma, for all humanity, is that by which men can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendent Lord. That is and are we convinced of that? That's what we have to think of. Prabhupada once said, are you convinced? Are you ready to give up everything because for Krishna? Are you convinced there's nothing else further to be gained? Such devotional service must be unmotivated. Now, who can explain that? Unmotivated. I'd like to hear an intelligent analyzation of that word.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yeah.
Let me try. In my understanding, it means one should not execute devotional service trying to seek for any source of motivation. For instance, probably the temple president or temple commander assigns you that it is your duty or your sadhana to always savor. They've given this savor that you have to mop the temple after sweeping. If you have to go and demand that they pay you some money before you do that as your savor, I think you are looking for a motivation before you do the savor. Therefore, one should only do devotions without expecting anything in return. Hare Krishna. That's my understanding, please.
Okay. But why would we do something if we weren't motivated?
Hare Krishna.
Doesn't motivation mean what inspires you to do something?
Yes, there's always motivation, but the motivation should be for Krishna. To be unmotivated means to be, our motivation should be for pleasing Krishna. That is unmotivated.
Well, that's a good answer. Thank you. The word English dictionary, it's a verb to provide with someone with a motive for doing something. You know, like profit, adoration, promotion, you know. So who are some of the most highly paid people now in the world? What occupation is it that they become very famous and highly rich?
Footballers and the musicians.
Motivational speakers. There's so many. Even our Gorgopal from Chopati, he's listed as a motivational speaker. He motivates people, like, you know, they want to do something. Now, we want to be, Bhakti Tirtha was a motivational speaker, like anything. But he motivated people. He wanted to chant the holy name. He wanted to dance. He wanted to serve Krishna. You know, that's what we need, that kind of motivation. So it's just like Krishna's without form or Krishna's without, you know, legs and hands. But it's not that he doesn't have those things, but not material form, not a material body. So we don't want the motivation that you can become the temple president, you can have it, you can go to America if you make a lot of life members. I mean, that was done in India. Boys would come and they knew that if they did so many life members, they could go to America. So they would work really hard. So that might have been good for the society in one sense to get money, but ultimately not good because those people are not making spiritual advancement by that. And we often saw when they got to America, they just, you know, got a job in the supermarket or something. So, you know, like if you go to Atlanta in America, there's many devotees of Bengali devotees. They're pushing wheelchairs at the airport and then driving taxis and very proud of themselves. I have a credit card, you know, but they're not serving Krishna. Maybe they come to Sunday feast, you know, whereas they were busy full time, but the motive was different. Prabhupada wrote in the 9th verse of the Bhagavad Gita, third verse of chapter 9. You know, we have seen many people come with the wrong motive, so they don't stay. So we want to motivate, but not by offering material, you know, gain. That's a terrible thing to do for a devotee. We want to motivate him that you can serve Krishna. You can get more service. You can get more chanting. That's the real motivation. So unmotivated and uninterrupted. We don't stop. We don't get distracted. You know, we just keep chanting no matter what. We keep going on day after day after. Even though, like, if you're walking a long ways, you know, you can't see the goal. Like, definitely when Bhakti Marg Swami is walking, you know, he doesn't have a picture of the West Coast in front of him, and he's seeing what's in front of him. But he's meeting people and preaching. We see these people at Govardhan doing this Dandapat Parikama, you know, 108 stones, and they're bowing down. They have a picture. Usually they have a picture of, you know, Gopal Krishna. We saw one, he had a picture of Jai Pataka Maharaj. And he was bowing down and getting up, bowing down. It's his guru. But their motive is Krishna. Somehow they getting to Krishna step by step, very short steps. I saw a picture of one guy he had, I can't remember how many, hundreds and hundreds of stones he's bowing down so many times in each spot. So, but they keep the goal in mind. The goal is Krishna. And the goal is more service. The goal is not to go and, you know, play around in Goloka and that we will do, but that's not the goal. The goal is to serve Krishna. Because a devotee, no matter where he is, in Vaikuntha and Goloka, hell or heaven, he's just serving Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
I don't think Lagos would qualify as a heavenly planet for most people. Maybe a few rich people in Lagos think it's heaven, but if they never go out. But the devotees go there and they're happy to go out and preach. All right, let's continue on.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Any more comments or questions?
Comments, Maharaj?
Maharaj,
Yeah.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Hold on. Two people are speaking at the same time. Madhavan Prabhu first, then followed by Joshua Matuji. Let's make it orderly.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yes.
In Africa, it's a tradition when we wake up in the morning, we prostrate to our fathers. So, and that we do that one perpetually, as part of the culture. So there's no motivation, and it is done regularly. So I think in this kind of mood, we should serve Krishna without motivation, just spontaneous, and that's my comments. All right. I don't know.
Well, that's a nice tradition. That's Vedic. The first thing is you touch the feet of your father in the morning and your mother. That's Vedic. Because Africa still has some, contact. It was Kusa Desh long ago. The place of Kush, the son of Ram. But the whole world has remnants of Vedic culture, but in the so-called more advanced countries, it's practically 100% lost. But in some of the so-called backward countries, they still have much more remnants of culture and respect for the elders and religious sentiments, religious activities as part of life, without even thinking about it. So in that sense, Africa is good. There's a lot of God consciousness. But so we're trying to hopefully teach people something a little more about God, and that many of the things that have become normal are not very pleasing to God. The way people are eating and corrupting and all these things. Common people know, but they know what's wrong, but they don't know what to do. So Bhagavad Gita will teach them if we get out and distribute it. We take that tapasya, that difficulty to share this knowledge that Krishna's given us. Any other comments?
Yes, Maharaj, Ojeshri Mataji wants to say something. And after her,
Good.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
I'm waiting.
It's not comment, it's question, Maharaj. When we are talking about remembering Krishna at the last moment of our life, you see that in the Gita, the Lord said, if you can remember only me or thinking of me alone, my question is, in what stage can an embodied living being think only of Krishna, remembering only him, not dragging another material things inside it?
Well, that's what we're practicing, and sometimes we do it in the kirtan or when we're reading or cooking for Krishna, we remember. And if we're always trying, at the time of death, Krishna makes sure because he's in the heart, and from Krishna comes remembrance, forgetfulness of knowledge. So he will make sure you remember him. And generally, most devotees that we hear about dying, there were devotees with them chanting, and they put the Prabhupada chanting all the time. They were getting a lot of help. And then, if you really know you're going to leave your body, it's a little easier, I think, but that's how it works. And Krishna in the heart will make sure you do, because you tried in your whole life. We may not be
Blessing is
perfect in this
Krishna.
life, even up to the last minute, but Krishna, if you've been trying to be perfect, Krishna will take it that you are. This is especially in this day and age of Kali Yuga. It's this supreme special mercy of Krishna that way. So when you realize I can't do it, I'm a fool, I'm muddle-headed, I have millions of memories from millions of lifetimes, but Krishna, please help me. He will help you. That's faith. Yeah. Faith is the most important thing. Jesus stressed on faith, and Krishna stresses so many times in Bhagavad Gita. With faith, with faith, with faith. Believe it, trust in Krishna. He will help you, but you have to keep trying.
Haribo.
I just heard a story. Okay. I'll try to make it short. There was one boy, he's very sincere. He's trying to go to the university. He wanted to go in the military afterward. And he had a job, he wasn't making very much money. So he thought, I need to make more money so I can keep studying. I think he was helping his mother also. This is a motivational story, but if we can apply this, this is, so he got a new job, and the job was moving. People want to move their house. This company, they go out there and they pack up everything and they move it to the new house. And it was pretty far away. And he knew he had to be there on time, 8 o'clock in the morning. Then his car broke down. He had an old car and it broke down. And he didn't have any money to fix his car. Nobody could help him. So he thought, I have to get to this job the first day on the job. If I don't get there, I'm going to be finished. So he decided I have to walk. So he got up at midnight and started walking so he could be that next place by 8 o'clock in the morning. And he was hungry, he didn't have any money, and he walked quite far, and he was sitting by the side of the road, and a car came. It was a police car. And then he got a little worried, and the policeman said, what are you doing? And he told him the story, that I'm trying to get to my job, and so I'm walking. And the policeman somehow was very nice. So he said, I'll give you a ride, He said, I can't go all the way, but I'll take you, as far as I can go, because policemen are limited, in different zones. So, but the policeman took him another place, and then he arranged other policemen to pick him up. And so finally they took him, and they took him to a restaurant and bought him lunch and, middle of the night, and did so many things for him because they were so impressed by this determination to get to his job. And this is a true story. Then he got to the house where he was supposed to work. He got there really early, a couple hours early, and they were saying, just take rest. And they were really impressed by this. Then the other workers came and they all were friendly. They all got along and they did the work really nicely. And the lady whose house it was, she thought this was so amazing that she put it on all her social media stuff, how this boy was so wonderful and how he was so determined. And it became viral. It became all over the world, famous. And then the boss of the company heard about it. And the boss called him up and said, come, I want to meet you. And he was really surprised, because he's new on the job. The boss said, I'm really impressed, you know, the way you are, your work ethic and all this and your determination. I'm going to give you a car. And the boss gave him a new car, you know, and he ended up getting some other really good job or something. But, you know, this is what happens. So the same thing for us. If we just keep trying to serve Krishna, no matter how far away it seems, no matter how we don't seem to have any facility, we don't have any, like myself, no education, no brain really, you know, whatever brain when I was a child, they used to tell me I was really smart, but I blew it out with drugs. But somehow or other, just by the holy name keeps dragging me along. And I really believing, you know, Krishna, it works, you know, if we just keep trying, no matter how imperfect we are. And Krishna doesn't see that. You know, we see the defects in my body and your body and everyone else's body, but Krishna doesn't see that. He just sees whatever good we have and he magnifies it and he wants to help us. So we have to have faith that Krishna will help me, but I have to try. Otherwise, why would he help you if you're not trying to do anything? And he won't help you. You have to try. That's all. That's all we can do is just try and beg Krishna, please help me to keep trying, you know. Krishna will help you. He'll pick you up out of the muck. He'll give you what, you know, I preserve what they have and I carry what you lack. That's Krishna's promise. That's what it means, faith. We believe all those promises Krishna made. They're all positive. There's nowhere where Krishna says, a demon, he'll condemn them to hellish birth. But for anyone who's trying to be a devotee, Krishna is just totally liberal and kind and merciful. Is that all right?
Yes, Maharaj. Rasa Vilas Prabhu's hand is up. He wants to say something. Rasa Vilas.
Yeah, I can talk.
Krishna Maharaj.
Yes.
I just want to ask a question on how I joined the Krishna consciousness movement. I actually heard my god brother, His Grace Jana Chachudas Prabhu, preached on the media, and that was what motivated me to get to know where the depth or the source of knowledge he was getting. You know, what he was preaching was something amazing we've never heard before. So I was motivated to inquire and know where he actually got this knowledge from. So my first visit to the temple was to know if really what he was giving us, I will also be part. Upon getting by Krishna's own arrangement, that same day, His Grace Solochana Prabhu, the current temple president, he was in charge of the Bhakti class, but he traveled to Kumasi by then. So His Great General Churches Prabhu took us through the Bhakti class. But after the Bhakti class, I think my motivation also changed. That was the first time I ever tasted a prashadam, a vegetarian dish. And it was like my motivation for practicing Jnana Yoga rather shift to eating prashadam. So in Krishna consciousness, prashadam actually was what motivated me to stay. Was it wrong that I had a motivation before joining the movement and even switch from a different one to another one as a neophyte when I joined the movement? Or because prashadam is something from Krishna, it was okay, I joined the movement by this motivation. Hare Krishna.
All right. You guys talk so fast, man. I don't know, my ears don't.
Oh, really? Sorry, Maharaj. Maybe I can go over again.
I guess everybody else can understand you. I don't know.
Yeah, Maharaj, what he is saying is he wants to understand is joining Krishna consciousness movement was as a result of hearing Ganeshakshu Prabhu, who spoke on the media program.
Yeah.
So he wanted to know the source of his knowledge. So therefore, he came to the temple. And when he arrived at the temple, when he arrived at the temple, Ganeshakshu Prabhu happens to be the one to give the Bhakti class that day. So he joined the class, but most importantly, after the class, he took prasadam and he loved it. So that became his motivation for joining Krishna consciousness. So he's asking a question, is motivation for prasad wrong for approaching Krishna consciousness?
No, Prabhupada said most of the devotees came for prasad. That's why he stressed having nice prasad always and feeding everybody. It's injection. You know, see, if I'm talking to you, you can be arguing in your mind, even though it looks like you're listening. But when you eat prasadam, it's injection. It's going in. It's Krishna entering into your everything. So it's very good, and that should motivate you to want to distribute lots of prasadam, and to make sure the temple always has really good prasadam. And also the radio show, you know, like, I don't know how much you know the history, but there was a lot of opposition to Gyanachakshus's radio preaching, that it's not pure Krishna, he's talking about this and that, or he's out late at night. But the results, the results were fantastic. And many devotees are coming, you know, joining not only there in Ghana, but even in other countries from hearing him on the radio still. Prem Vilas told me, like, somebody came in his temple in America, in the middle of America, not the most famous place, because they heard Ghana on the radio and became devotees. So we all need to think of ways to get out like that. You know, he was especially blessed because his friends had radio shows and they let him on for free, because usually nowadays we have to pay a lot to get on the air, but he was able to do it regularly in quite a few different facilities. I was riding with him up to Kumasi, I think, one time, and we stopped on a corner and somebody was selling bread or something, and he spoke, and she said, I know you, I heard you on the radio. So, you know, we can all do that. Maybe we can't have such a huge effect, but getting one person is a huge effect. That, you know, nowadays it's all free with the internet. Anybody can get on. So the good story, please share it. And please make sure, if you're at the temple, that the prasadam is really good and that there's prasadam distribution more and more. And that will bring more and more people. The way to a man's heart is through his stomach. They have that saying in Africa. Huh?
All right, Maharaj, thank you.
So women, you know, used to want to learn to be good cooks so they could control their husband. You can't get such good food anywhere else. But now,
Maharaj, I have to know, still that motivation seems to be there. Even if for one or two reasons I'm not able to go to the temple, I always arrange that a prasad will be brought to me from the temple. I don't know why I'm having so much taste for the prasad.
you become addicted. That's a great mercy.
So thank you, Maharaj.
And for many devotees, that's the first thing that really keeps them going to the temple. Just waiting for that next Sunday feast, you know.
Okay.
Especially like when I joined and the feast was still cooked according to Prabhupada's, you know, we had 13 or 15 different preparations, you know, all these exotic things you've never seen before, and everything was cooked in ghee, and, you know, you just go crazy. When I first went, I hardly was eating anything. I had no interest. I didn't know how to cook good food. I was just eating some fruit and stuff. And I started eating the prasadam, and I just kept bringing more, and I couldn't stop. I kept thinking, I can't eat so much, but I just eat it and eat it and eat it. And I just waited to go back there the next week. And most devotees like that. And sometimes I read about one devotee, he went to the temple in Germany. They gave her a paper plate with cold potatoes or something. And she said it was the best food I ever ate in my life. I just loved it. I just joined right there. Yes, it's Krishna. So the right person gets it, and they just go for it. All right. So thank you. We got to a very important verse, and please review it. Review all the verses, you know. this, Rupa Goswami is our most important acharya, and this is one of his most important books. Nectar Devotion, Nectar of Instruction, others. All right, so thank you all very much.
Thank you very much, Maharaj.
Nice to visit Africa like this. And I was thinking to go to Ghana. Ghana, the border's open. It would take me like 3 or 4 days to get there, though. In airports and airplanes, and wearing masks and being everybody's suspicious. So I get discouraged. I wish I was, that Krishna is helping us by this internet, which was certainly not invented, for purposes of spreading Krishna consciousness. But Krishna is very tricky. So he gets all these scientists for all kinds of reasons to invent things, and then the devotees can use it for spreading Krishna consciousness. Jai. Rupa Goswami ki jai.
Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Is only
Chaitanya Manobhistam Staptam Yena
Yeah.
Bhuta Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. And this verse we read every day, I hope, that, the Lord Chaitanya is just like Krishna, but he's a different color. That's a verse by Rupa Goswami also.
Okay. Let all devotees unmute now. Let us chant
Everybody,
Hare Krishna to appreciate.
behind me, there is the Dwarka temple. That's the original Dwarka temple there where Krishna lived. That's what's behind me.
Okay.
And behind Salika, that's his temple in Jas next year.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Hare Rama.
Rama, Hare
Hare Rama, Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Rama
Krishna.
Rama,
Hare
Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare Rama.
Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Hare.
I'm off to eat prasad at the temple now.
Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Krishna.
Hare Hare,
Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna Krishna,
Hare Hare,
Hare Hare,
Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama
Rama,
Rama Rama.
Mother Rati Davidasi, next week we lead Kitan. Your voice is coming very
Devotees,
clear.
the
Next
temple
week we
behind
lead.
me is not just is Ujjain, it's contemplative.
Very
That's
nice.
the name of the temple.
What's the name?
Sri Krishna temple in Ujjain.
Yeah.
As
Jane.
temple.
Okay.
Hare-
It looks very nice. I'll build one for Krishna someday.
Yeah, maybe I'll share ISKCON Just Temple when next we have class.
All right.
But
Thank you.
I'll
Right.
put ISKCON Just Temple at the background so that people, devotees who have not visited can see.
It looks very nice. I hope you take me there one day.
Sure. Just desire it.
I'll get my passport renewed. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
So,
Thank you all
some of
devotees.
us are off to the temple. I'm going to eat prasad at the temple now. Have to go.
Yeah. Please.
All right.
Go.
It's great.
That's a good absorption.
Isaac,
That's a good
Nati, I
attachment.
hope I'm meeting you at the temple.
Okay, thank you all devotees. Hare Krishna.
I don't think I'll come.
Moderating,
nice
your
Sunday.
house is Vrindavan.
But today I don't think I'll come. I'll go to some place.
Okay, all right.
Moderating,
Mother Ogona Ojusha, are you not feeling well today? You seem to be down somehow.
you said?
Who's that?
Are you not feeling well today? Your involvement was somehow down.
Yes, I am not, my leg is disturbing me.
Your leg.
Sorry, Mother.
Krishna
Oh, sorry
will
about
touch
that.
his healing hand on you. You'll be fine.
Krishna will reign supreme.
Thank you, everyone. Haribo.
Haribo.
Krishna
Same
Swami.
time.
Jai. It's come with
Salika Magi. Oh, Salika Magi.
Bhakti
Magi,
Sastri.
please.
Jai.
Kijai.
Oh, Salika Magi.
Mother, you are covered.
Magi, I need you.
You are
Mother
covered.
Rati, if you
Hare
get
Krishna,
tea,
mother.
give me. Oh.
Okay, mother.
Your house is Brindavan.
Yeah. Oh,
Hare
Jai,
Krishna.
mother. Same with yours. Hare Krishna.
Haribo.
So we'll arrange within the week for you, Hare Krishna.
I'm interested though.
Haribo.
Haribo.
Hare Krishna. We'll arrange.
Mother.